All right, I'm being told right now that we are currently being joined by our next guest, and definitely looking forward to speaking to this gentleman here. He's one of the best 168-pounders in the world, best super middleweights in the world right now. Currently, he is the WBA super middleweight champion of the world, and it's an honor and a pleasure to speak to him all the way from Belfast, Ireland, Mr. Brian Magee. Brian, thank you for joining us tonight on ATG Radio. How are you doing tonight, champ?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's a pleasure, because I'll tell you like this, Brian, we here in the United States, and most of us here in Las Vegas, we got, my co-host Mark Abrams, who's in New Jersey in the United States, another co-host, Michael Doss, who's in Louisiana. We're big fans as far as European boxing is concerned in the UK. Yourself, who's an all-action fighter, very exciting fighter. And for us to get the opportunity to interact and chat about boxing with the fighters that aren't easily as accessible as you are. You're not as easy as accessible as the guys in the United States are. So it's a complete honor to talk to you. You're a valiant warrior, and we're looking forward to talking to you about your upcoming fight, obviously, and some other topics going on in boxing.
Thank you. That'll be brilliant.
So, Brian, first and foremost, man, hey, you're, currently you're holding the interim WBA World Super Middleweight title, and, you're going to be fighting on the 8th of December at the end of this year against a former multi-time Super Middleweight champion, Mikkel Kessler. You're going into his hometown and his home country. You're going to be, obviously the underdog going into this with all the factors against you, against Mikkel Kessler. But, first and foremost, a huge fight. You've been in this atmosphere before. Tell us about you going into this fight with Mikkel Kessler.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. No matter what, when I'm fighting for a world title, it's never going to be easy, but it's more difficult. I've been in Denmark 2 times before, and I've been successful 2 times before, so it's a nice. I've got that nice comfort zone going back there, that I'm able to go there and come back with the goods and deliver a great result. But this time, I think at this minute in time, I'm the most hated man in Denmark. I'll maybe be lucky getting into the country, and if I win, I'll be very, very lucky coming out of the country. But I'm really looking forward to it. Mikkel Kessler, he's a fantastic fighter. He's definitely one of the best super middleweights of the last decade, really. But at this division, the fighters are that good. In the top 10, everybody has a chance. Everybody is capable of beating everybody else on the night.
And then let me ask you this too. Mikkel Kessler has shown in his defeats, one against Joe Calzaghe and the other one against Andre Ward. Didn't look too much. He had a very tough fight against a former opponent of yours, Carl Froch. In these fights, have you studied them, and have you found weaknesses that you'll be capitalizing on in December when you face him for the WBA title?
I haven't what I thought, totally scrutinized his videos or anything like, but everybody knows of him. I've seen his fights before and stuff, so it's still a long time away from the fight, and I'm gradually. I don't want to get too delved in. I want to have a plan A, plan B, plan C. You have to be ready for anything, and if you're scrutinising one thing too much, because I'm sure he's got a game plan too, where he might be working on different things. So on the night, you never know what's going to happen. You have to be ready. But we're always having something up our sleeve, hopefully. But I don't want to delve in or rely on something too much. We're on the night. I just want to be ready, kind of ready for everything. You have to be ready for A, B, C, and D, and that's the kind of attitude that I want to go into every fight with. You're not pre-planned, or the fight's not pre-thought out. You're just there, ready to fight and ready to give everything and ready for anything.
Brian, if you don't mind, I'm going to pass you over to one of my co-hosts, Mark Abrams. Mark Abrams, as I mentioned, he's in New Jersey. He's commentator for Will TV, also 15rounds.com. Mark.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Good, Mark. Nice to meet you.
You mentioned 2-0 in Denmark. First you got Larson, then you got Marcus, and you feel now you're taking on the King of Denmark, and hey, if you beat Kessler, maybe you can call yourself the King of Denmark.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he's probably the best Danish fighter fighter ever. You know, he's one of the most popular sportsmen ever out of Denmark. You know, been over there at the press conference. I've been over before. You know, you've only to walk around Copenhagen anywhere, and everybody knows him. And you know, there's photographs of him about everywhere. But you know, so it's good for me. It's a great high profile fight. It's a great fight to be in, and you know, you go into every fight with the belief that you're going to win it. But you know, these are the kind of fights that all boxers dream of. They want to be in the big fights, on the big stage, fighting the best fighters, and this is it. And this is where I am. You know, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best and fight the best.
The super middleweight division is suddenly, you know, with the Super 6 tournament and the fallout from it, very packed division. Obviously, you face Froch, you face Butte, you're fighting Kessler, guys like Ward, and I actually just broadcast the fight at Donna Stevenson. All kinds of possibilities. I know you're not looking past Kessler, but is it? What do you think of the break down the super middleweight division? You know, in terms of, I guess, would you have to admit that Ward's the guy, and how's the rest shake out in your opinion?
The super middleweight division must be the toughest division in boxing at the minute. I mean, it's just the guys are just so good. There's so many good guys. You know, everybody's capable of being world champion at the minute. There's so many good guys. As I said before, in the top 10, you know, anybody on their night is capable of beating anybody else. You know, there's nobody, maybe apart from Ward, who really, with winning the Super 6, has really, you know, stood out. A lot to Mikhail Kessler as well, but with Ward beating him. But you know, apart from that, you know, it's very tightly packed, very competitive division at the minute. And they're all big, strong, good fighters.
One thing on Kessler, you said you really haven't broken down any film yet, but obviously he's had a lot of injuries in the last 2-3 years. He's getting a little older. He's been in a few wars. Are you? I mean, I know you're going to say you probably are going to prepare for the best possible Mikhail Kessler, but do you believe that maybe he's lost a step being with all the injuries and a couple rough fights that he's been in recently?
No, definitely. I think with his last fight, having that sensational knockout shows how good a fighter he is, and definitely how much power he has. You know, it was a fantastic knockout he had in his last fight, and you know, everybody's allowed a few speed bumps along the way, but you know, you can't take anything for granted that somebody's going to come into a fight with injury. But the way, no matter what I'm fighting, even when coming up through my career as a young fighter, when I was fighting maybe journeyman, he maybe has been, you know, people called him over the hill. I think I'm still the older fighter. Mikhail Kessler's still younger than me, but you know, we're coming up. I had fought maybe guys who had fought for world titles and a lot older than me, but for 6 rounds, they're still as good as they ever were, and then that's where the old age maybe kicks in, or maybe injuries maybe kick in after that there. But you know, I believe always for the first half of the fight, they're as good as they ever were, you know, and then maybe bottle worn or bottle scars, whatever, or old age might kick in then. But you know, it's a lot of older fighters are fighting right on to like myself. You know, they're in better shape, better condition than they ever were when they were in their 20s, and that's like me. So that's the way I see the fight. I can't really take that for granted, but you know, it'd be a nice thought, but really, you know, it's definitely not far from my mind.
Last question I have is, you know, I asked you to break down the super middleweight division a couple minutes ago, and I know you're not looking past Kessler, but do you see big fights with fellow United Kingdom fighters, Groves and DeGale, as something in your future? And obviously, if you know, you're still world champion, they become huge events in your part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. I mean, them guys are only up and coming fighters at the minute. You know, they've still as far as I'm concerned, like, they still pay their dues, but they seem to get a lot of support and always a lot of talk about them. But you know, the main guy in the UK next to myself is Carl Froch, number 1, and myself at number 2. So you know, we're the 2 big guns in the UK. The other guys have to play catch up, so they do. So but you know, they're very popular. 2 very popular fighters. They've been ups and downs at the minute themselves. So I think they're starting to learn what a tough division it is. Everybody's good, and their prospect kind of first couple 10 fights, 15 fights, whatever, and then you realise what a hard sport boxing boxing is when you have to step up a grade. And but you never in the future. Definitely, the future is bright in the super middleweight division in the UK, and definitely could be some great fights made in the future. All we gotta do is just keep winning and keep hopefully making the fights happen.
Hey Brian, how you doing? Hey Brian, this is Michael Dawes. How are you?
Oh, hiya. Nice to meet you.
Hey, listen, I haven't looked. I think you went to Denmark twice in your career, right? With Rudy Markuson and
twice.
Yeah. Did you knock both of those out, right?
Yeah.
You knocked out Larson and Markuson. I was wondering.
Markuson, yeah.
With Kessler, I mean, do you really think that that's how you're going to have to go out, going to Denmark, being 2-0 in Denmark with stoppages, never really going to the cards? Do you think you're going to have to knock out Kessler to get victory, or do you think you could actually win a decision over there?
I don't think Denmark has got hasn't got the reputation. It's not like Germany. When you go to Germany, they say, the only way you can win in Germany is by knockout, by having a knockout. But I don't think Denmark has a reputation of that happening. But it'd be fantastic if he doesn't have to go to the scorecards or anything. But that's in the future. If that's what happens, it goes to the scorecards. It goes to the scorecards. But no matter what, I'll be giving it my all throughout the fight to win the fight as clear as I can, do everything I can to win the fight. But I wouldn't want to think of something negative like that there before the fight and thinking, oh well, there's not going to be much sense getting in the fight if something like that's going to happen. But you like to think everything's all fair and square, and the officials, the WBA is a fantastic association, and hopefully all their officials are good and in place, and I'm happy. The 2 times going before, I've been treated very well in Denmark. Everything's been really good, so I can't see this time being any different,
Well, my next question, basically, you're 37 years old. Do you consider this kind of a reinvention of your career, of yourself? Have you done anything different, from last time, being a little bit younger? I mean, a lot of guys have, more luck, in their late 30s. They kind of face their stuff a little bit better. They do little things, and that they never used to before. And do you do the same in your career? When you're fighting, is there little things that you changed up? And if so,
I changed my trainer a couple of years ago to an old trainer of Roberto Duran's, Bernardo Checa. He's Panamanian born, but he moved to Belfast to train in Belfast, and then he became a trainer, a coach in Belfast in the famous Barney Eastwood gym. When Barney Eastwood had the likes of Dave Boy McCauley, Victor Cordoba, Brian McGregor and stuff, people like that there. And he kind of retired from boxing for a while, and my manager was able to get him back out of retirement and train him myself. And I have another great guy called Alex Doherty who does a lot of conditioning work with me. And since then I've teamed up with them guys. It's a real team effort and kind of I'm just enjoying my boxing at the minute, enjoying my training. And I think that's what it's all about. If you're doing something you don't love, you don't enjoy, you don't love, it's very difficult to get the best out of yourself. And I'm fighting for myself, I'm fighting for my family, I'm fighting for all my friends and the future. I know this is it's a one chance. I've had to work very hard to turn my career around and get it to where I am again. So I want to make sure I give it my all.
Well, if you go to Denmark and say you do come back, with the victory over Kessler, I know that's what you're aiming for. You got another guy that had a career-defining victory against Lucian Bute, a guy that you're also familiar with. He went there and Carl Froch knocked him out, basically turned a lot of heads, and now he's right back in the mix again. A guy that you also know. Yeah. You fought, years ago. I think it was 11 rounds. Is that a guy? I mean, when you beat Kessler or if you beat Kessler, who do you really want? I mean, I know there's money makers out there. I know that, but you're an Irishman. You fight for pride as well. Name me one guy. If it's Froch, Bute, whoever, even if it's not even a revenge factor. Name me one guy. Not really a money fight, but not a money fight, but just a pride fight.
A pride fight?
Somebody that you really want.
There's a lot of history. There's a lot of history. there's a lot of history with myself and Carl Froch, the UK fighter. You know, we had a great fight earlier on in our careers. It was a fantastic fight. Even right up till, you know, he just caught me 1-11th round, and Cora had that fight, but it was a fantastic fight. You know, so there's a lot of interest for that fight. If I ever to win, is maybe a unification fight. But as you say, it's hard to go past the big, you know, boxing as well. At the minute, super division is so hard, and especially the division at the minute. Everybody's a big fighter. Like Lucien Butte is a big prize if he's back in world champion contest again. Even Carl Froch, world champion again. You know, Andre Ward. You know, if you're world champion in a minute, you're on the. You know, there's also Abrahams in Germany. You know, where I'm very well known throughout Europe now with you know, beating the likes of Markson and Larson. You know, so there's a big interest in fights like that all the time over here. But you know, I'd love to go to America again and fight. So I'd love to go to Las Vegas to fight. You know, it's like the Mecca of boxing, or Madison Square Gardens or something, for sure, before I finish my career. Like, you know, I'd love to do something like that.
Well, speaking of Andre Ward, you know, a couple of weeks ago, this is my last question. A couple of weeks ago, we had Andre Ward's trainer on, Virgil Hunter, and he basically said that nobody wants to fight Andre Ward. He said that Andre's already cleaned up the division. He said there's nobody for him to fight. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you agree with him, or?
I think there's lots of fights. There's fights out. There's definitely fights out there for him. Super 6 is such a big tournament, you know, and I suppose he maybe beat Carl Froch so well. He showed himself to be kind of above it. There's big fights out there. It's early on, but I think, you know, his popularity, I don't think over here is not as well known fighter as what people think. So, like, you know, I don't think he's generating the interest and maybe, you know, the kind of publicity he should do. Has been such a great fighter to make the big fights happen. Maybe that's the case. He has to maybe look elsewhere. But I think definitely fights out there for him. I mean, in super middleweight division, there's fighters coming through all the time. Great fighters, and it's like Andre Ward himself. He wasn't. I don't think he was in the Super 6 at the, you know, or even down to be in the Super 6 at the 5 start. He got in late, and you know, he ended up winning. So, you know, he took his chance and he got it. So there's somebody else there who's waiting on their chance to come through as well. People like myself as well who'd take a fight with Andre Ward.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey, Brian, Frank Stay again, and you know, I want to ask you about a fellow fighter who's from Ireland. We actually had him on the show last week, and he was definitely one of you know, a very animated and colorful guest. But we also noticed on your Facebook wall that you mentioned something about him, and I'm assuming it was pertaining to the video that he gave yesterday. You know, basically calling out Tony Bello and mentioning obviously the dream fight, David Price. You know, he's a very proud Irish fighter. You know, a lot of people mistaken him from being from England because he lives there and he fights out of there now. But originally, you know, he's from Ireland. You know, I wanted to get your thoughts on a lot of his antics. I think Tyson Fury, me personally, I think he's a great person for boxing because of the way he generates interest. But I got to get your thoughts on the rant that he gave in that video and him as a heavyweight. Do you think he can go far in the heavyweight division?
Yeah, you know, he's got all the attributes for a great heavyweight. You know, he's got the height, he's got the size, and looking at him now, don't forget, the thing people forget about Tyson Fury is he's only a kid. You know, he's a big, massive man, but he's only 23, I think. You know, really, he's just a kid. He's only mature now. You can see even his body is only starting to mature with his training, you know. So the thing about Tyson Fury is they shouldn't rush him. You know, they're jumping in these big fights, but I think he's a lot of time to go. Keep polishing him up, keep teaching him all the time and learning him. But yeah, there's a lot of good fighters. Price is another good fighter. He was a very talented amateur. You know, he's probably got the wee head start on Tyson Fury, where he was, you know, well schooled as an amateur. He fought for England. You know, he was maybe, I don't know if he boxed in the Olympics, but I'm sure he was training for the Olympics and at that level.
Yeah, he won a bronze medal.
He won a bronze medal. You know, he's got that good amateur pedigree behind him, where Tyson Fury hasn't. So, you know, when you can see that in David Price's fights now, where the early rounds, you know, he's got that good quickness, reflexes and stuff, where Tyson Fury maybe more towards the distance fighter now, where he's good, he's paced himself out, and he's he's adopted more of that pro style now at the minute. So it's a good fight. I don't know maybe if right now is a good time for the two guys to meet. I think maybe give them a wee while and let them meet for a big super fight. It was like, I suppose around about the time a couple of years ago when Lance Lewis was knocking around, and they were talking about him getting in against the likes of who was at the time, like Frank Bruno and a couple of English fighters and all. I don't think there's a rush to them to meet this yet. Let them fucking another win behind them another year or so, and then hopefully they'll get both meet for a decent title, rather than just a British title, but maybe a world title, some kind of world title or something. Maybe you wouldn't know, but they're both talented guys. Tyson Fury seems very likeable over here. He started off his career in England, and now he's boxing in Belfast on the 1st of December in the Belfast Odyssey Arena, which is a 7,000-seater arena, and he'll pack that out. So he's a popular guy, and one thing about him, all his fights, when he comes to fight, he puts on a show, and he gives it his all. He's not afraid to stand his ground and fire punches and trade leather.
So you give him props as a true Irish fighter, being a true born and bred from Belfast. You give him, even though he lives in the United Kingdom, I believe he lives in England, and he was born in England. Do you still give him his props as a true Irish fighter?
Well, I don't know if you can say that. I think me, it's like saying that they're my brother. My brother, he was actually born in England, but he never lived there, if you know what I mean. My mum and dad were on holidays, and he's born in England, but so he's from Ireland. But I think all his family, his dad and all are from Ireland. He's Irish blood in him, so he's as good as, But you can be sure for one thing, like we would take him as Irish, but you can be definitely sure of one thing: if he wins the world title, the English will be claiming him to be English, not Irish. Hey, they're very good at that, claiming their sports, claiming everybody who's got kind of, any kind of, if they win something good, the English just claim everybody. So I think he'll have to be claimed back as English if he wins the world title, but we'll be first in there and say, yes, he's Irish.
Hey, I know, we'll take it, man. Final thing, Brian, we appreciate your time. Final thing, man, if you can be so kind as to send a message to your opponent for the 8th of December, Mikkel Kessler. If you can send a final message to him, we'll make sure he gets to either read it or hear it. But send a message. Let him know you're ready. You're coming to beat him in front of his home country. Please.
Yeah, Mikkel Kessler, he's a great fighter. I have so much respect for him. He's a great guy outside the ring. He's a fantastic fighter inside the ring. But on December the 8th, I'll be coming to fight. I'm coming to bring home some Danish bacon again on the 8th of December, so I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll both have a great fight on the 8th of December.
Brian, I know the fans can find you on Facebook. Do you have a Twitter handle? Are you active on Twitter?
I am on Twitter, but to be honest with you, I hardly ever use it. But I will start using it. It's Brian Magee 1, I think, but I will start actually tweeting. I'll have to start tweeting, so because I have lots of friends in the States and stuff tweeting and ask me to keep tweeting on it, but I will have to start. But you get me on Facebook, or I have a health and fitness page. I have a page, Brian Magee, and I've also a Magee Health and Fitness page, which is like a boxing, promoting boxing and fitness over here in Northern Ireland. We're a small company with fitness classes and trying to promote the sport of boxing through fitness.
All right, well, definitely.
Masses,
Brian, definitely, congratulations to all, your success up to this point. And, I'm definitely, it's being a reporter in boxing, especially out here, you try your best to be biased. In this case, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'm praying for you on the 8th of December for you to beat Mikkel Kessler. I think with a victory, there's many more exciting fights in the super middleweight division that include you. And, all the best, obviously, in preparation and training. And you're in my prayers, man. God bless you. And we hope to get you back on the show again sometime soon in the future.
For the next time over holiday in the States, I'll make sure to let you know and call and see you. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Great night, my man. God bless you, brother.
Bye. Bye.
Take care. All right, there you have it. WBA super middleweight champion Brian Magee, looking forward to his fight 8th of December 2012 against Mikkel Kessler.